What's going on, everyone? I'm just a typical, average American here today to react to a very recent speech that the Prime Minister of Canada, Mark Carney, gave at the Liberal Convention. And apparently, he made a lot of remarks about the United States and the changing international order and Canada's future and, some pretty heavy topics. So today, I want to take a look at some of these clips from his speech and, try to understand where Canada and the US kind of stand right now, and as well as the Canadian perspective on all this stuff. So let's take a look.
The world's changing. Not gradually, but suddenly.
Yeah.
Yes, some are still in denial. Rather than starting on this journey, they're waiting for the past to return.
Oh my God, somebody laughed. There's people in the audience laughing. This. Oh my God. And you know what? The worst part is, I feel like he's talking about Americans, like me. Like, there's people that are in denial that things are gonna go back to the way they were. I don't know if anybody's really in denial at this point. You know what? I'm sure they're out there, but it's pretty insane to think that anyone is in denial about certainly what's been going on the last year, or I don't know, like 14, 15 months now, where, broadly speaking, the United States, we've succeeded in ruining our reputation and driving a lot of countries, in particular Canada, away from us. And that's not, if you're an American who cares at all about the United States and our relationships and how we treat people and our future as well here, it's not funny. So yeah, that was like the cherry on top. Somebody definitely was like laughing when he said that. You hear this?
Rather than starting on this journey, they're waiting for the past to return.
What? What?
No.
What? Is that so? Oh my God. That, I feel like that in particular kind of hits me a little hard, because I feel like I'm one of those people who's maybe a little, at least trying to remain, perhaps foolishly, optimistic that, like, okay, maybe someday, perhaps it will take, it'll take years at the very least. Donald Trump would have to be out of office. Many years would have to go by, because trust is what has been ruined here. And trust takes a very, very, very long time to rebuild. And sometimes it's impossible. I'll admit that. So, but yeah, either way, I guess some part of me at least was holding on to like hope that maybe things can kind of go back to where like Canada and the United States can be great allies and great friends. And but geez, talk about heartbreak. That sentiment makes the Canadians in this audience laugh out loud. I didn't know it was so funny. Oh my God, that is actually very telling for me. That, like, from the Canadian perspective, it's kind of a joke, perhaps, to think like that you guys want anything to do with the U.S. or in any kind of meaningful way. Or, oh my God, wow. I don't know if I'm reading too much into that, but that really stuck out to me right there.
But hope is not a plan, and nostalgia is not a strategy.
Yeah, and I guess like I don't know. Obviously, that's the American how I interpreted all that. That's like the American perspective, like mindset. I think um, the Canadian perspective here is kind of like it seems like you're saying, okay, guys, like we need to like even if things were in many ways like good or tolerable and in many ways benefited, not just the U.S. but also Canada. That's all very nostalgic and great, but that is now history. That is behind us. That is not the way things are anymore. And that's a very, very practical, pragmatic, very truthful stance, I think, for Canadians to take here. And I can't blame you one bit for that. I think that's actually smart, unfortunately for us.
And if we stand still during this rupture, we will surrender our future to others. My friends.
Wow. Jeez. Yeah, I guess I wasn't expecting it to be like this is brutal. I gotta say, like from an American standpoint, like it's just like now he's saying like we're not going to be taken advantage of. I don't want to make this sound like this is all about us, but I mean, to me, it feels like he's making references to the United States here, and basically saying like we're not going back to that. We're not going to be second fiddle to the U.S. We're not going to rely on them. We're not going to be taken advantage of. And I think a lot more Americans need to like watch that because obviously here in the U.S. like this has been out a couple days. Like I didn't even know about this. Like this isn't stuff that they're running on the news here in the US. Like most of us don't know about these statements and these thoughts and it's so important, man, because it completely like I don't know, you're not really living in reality unless you get like the full picture here, like and certainly the Canadian perspective on this.
Technological change is accelerating. We can either shape our future with AI or let it control our destiny.
Oh, AI.
The foundations of the international order, the order which Canada helped build and from which we have benefited for so long, that order is crumbling.
I don't know if you saw, I did a video watching his epic speech, his Davos speech, the World Economic Forum speech that Mark Carney made. Tons of world leaders have commended it, cited it. Like he gave the most epic speech, and it had to do with that a lot. This phrase, the changing, the new international world order is changing and it's disrupted, and from the American viewpoint, again, to me, a lot of it seems to be like the world is ready to move on without the United States because we have obviously been a massive influence on the world order as it stands today, and it seems like Mark Carney is like leading the charge in many ways. I'd really love to say like this is very cool and admirable and very motivating, and but bizarrely, it's all very anti-American, which it's very bad for me. So I'm trying to like separate myself from that a bit and kind of look objectively at this, and it's like if I was a Canadian or anybody outside of the US, I'd be pretty excited about what Mark Carney is saying. I think. Like, just looking at what the United States has done in the last, since Trump became president for the second time and how many people we pissed off and threatened and oh my God. Yeah, this is a message I would get behind. Yeah. Okay, so we have other clips here. His full speech was like 35 minutes or something. And so I think these are just a couple of like the spots where Mark Carney really was calling out the U.S. So here's another clip.
It started quietly. People choosing a wine from the Okanagan over one from California.
Oh, it did start. It. I think he said this. It's been very sudden. I mean, it's been over a year now, but man, so much has happened in only a year. The whole our at least for Americans, and it's like the world's been flipped upside down. It's crazy. It's hard to comprehend at times. What is Okanagan? What did he say?
Choosing a wine from the Okanagan over one from California.
What's Okanagan? Okanagan? That's something. That's a Canadian wine, I guess. So you're choosing wine from Canada over the U.S. I've done videos, like I'm aware of these boycotts of American stuff in Canada, and Canadians don't want to travel here much anymore. And again, I think I keep saying this, but it's all very bad for the U.S., but I can't blame you. I can't blame you one bit. I think in the same position, I'd do the exact same thing.
Anyone had any bourbon recently? No.
Oh!
Sorry.
What? Whoa! Mark Carney getting a little, witty, snarky. I don't know. Has anybody had any bourbon? That's like an American whiskey or whatever, right? Wow. He's not afraid to go there. This is bold. Like Mark Carney is so incredibly good at being very diplomatic, very careful and measured with what he says, and he even knows that after these speeches, like he's probably going to have to go on a phone call with like Trump at some point or go to the White House, and that is not stopping him from saying exactly what he feels, which like for Canada, that's exactly what you want. You don't want like, yeah, you got to say what you're really thinking even. I know a lot of like world leaders, and I think feel a lot of anxiety, or like in the past, like kind of bit their tongue a little bit to not disparage Trump or the U.S. as much as they would like, and it feels like because they're like worried about what Trump will retaliate or threaten, or it feels like Canada and Mark Carney, you just don't like it, you're not concerned about what Trump thinks. You're not concerned about the American threats or our retaliation or what Trump is gonna say in response. And I think that's awesome. I think like, yeah, the U.S. is definitely in a phrase, we're doing what we think like is only in the interest of the United States. Is that the reality of what we're doing? No, I don't. Personally, I don't think that's what we're accomplishing at all. But I think that's, if you ask Trump, that's probably what he would say. Canada has every right to do the exact same. You do what's best for you, and also treat your allies way better. So, yeah, I don't. Man, I'm not used to this, but it's interesting seeing this side of Mark Carney. I don't mind it.
A family planning a vacation to Prince Edward Island instead of booking flights to Florida.
Wow. This is also a very significant thing to say. This is the Canadian government openly saying that they support protesting the U.S., boycotting the U.S., not traveling to the United. Because I thought that was kind of like a grassroots kind of like, that's a Canadian response, like from the people of Canada, like you're protesting us. That's what I thought, and it is. But on top of that, it's like I didn't realize this is the Canadian government. This is the Prime Minister saying like, yeah, screw the U.S. Like let's not go there. Let's not buy their bourbon. Like he's openly saying all that now. It's he's not even trying to like hide that. It's very blatant. So that's what this is big. Like I don't know how else to say it.
Canadians, Canadians are rediscovering our country. You know, Canada's tourism sector had a record-breaking summer, 50,000 more train rides, 13% more visits to our national parks, 15% more visits.
Wow. So while tourism to the United States is declining at record rates, tourism to Canada is going up, up, up. It's like, I don't know. I don't. This might be a little controversial to say, but what the heck? It's almost like what's happened between Canada and the US. Like, what if we look back and Canadians look back and you're like, you know what? Trump opening everyone's eyes and even threatening Canada and forcing Canada to step back and become less reliant on the United States and focus on Canada, and now the tourism's getting better, the trading partners, the what if all of this madness somehow ends up being like really good for Canada in the long run? Like in a really bizarre twist of fate. Like it's kind of crazy to think about that. Like that everything the US has decided to do like is literally causing the decline of the United States before my very eyes and the rise of Canada. Like, is that what? Like, I think that's how things actually are kind of shaking out right now.
To our national museums. Small individual acts of solidarity, but repeated millions of times. And together, they make a statement. We are the masters of our destiny.
This is cool to see for Canada. Again, bizarre for me because I'm the American here. This is all like very anti-American, but it's cool to see. Like, this is not something I'm used to seeing for Canada. Like most Americans, I'm not really exposed to Canada that much. Certainly not growing up, but this like this nationalism, this pride, this Canadian pride, where the government and everyone's like, yeah, we're gonna kick ass and like grow and like fight and prioritize Canada first, and it's cool to see for you guys. Okay, so and we have another clip here. Okay, what is this?
The foundations of the international order, the order which Canada helped build and from which we have benefited for so long, that order is crumbling.
Many of our former strengths, which rested on our close ties with the United States, have become our weaknesses now.
Wow. Openly saying that, like, formerly, what we thought was good. Like, he's literally saying, we used to think being in a close relationship with the United States was good, and now it's a weakness. And when it, I mean, honestly, when it can be used against you, like Trump has decided to use that relationship we have against Canada, he's absolutely right.
We understood these changes very early on. Other countries are only just now beginning to grasp the full scope of these changes.
That's true. You know, props to Canada. Like, the way I remember it, at first Canada tried to, like, negotiate with the US, negotiate with Donald Trump. And as the months have gone on, like, you guys, like, very quickly just, like, kind of realized it's pointless. And, like, trying to make a deal with Trump is pointless. And threat after threat after threat. And it's just what Mark Carney literally is saying. Like, Canada was very quick to be like, oh, okay, this is how things are now. Okay, let's not dwell on it. Let's not try to, like, save it. Let's move on. we're moving on. We're moving up and onward. And I think that took a lot of Americans by surprise, for sure.
And while we have overcome the initial shock of the betrayal, we must never forget the lessons it has taught us. We must take care of ourselves.
This is why Americans, like, I really feel like do not understand, not enough understand, truly, like, truly what's happened between Canada and the US. He's using words like the betrayal. We will never forget how the US betrayed us. Like, if you asked, I think, just like any American who hasn't bothered to look at this speech, they would be like scratching their head like, we betrayed who? What? We did what? Like, seriously. Yeah, it's crazy. I don't even know what to say about all that.
We must take care of each other as well. My dear friends, the path ahead will not always be easy, but our country will emerge stronger and more just if we all remain united.
Wow. Yeah, this is very like Canada, very patriotic Canada. Like I said, it's a side of Canada that, because I don't know, Canada is kind of known for being like very measured, very like not like Americans where we're like waving our flag over the top, like shooting off fireworks like USA, USA. And I think like it's cool to see, it's not like that, but like a lot of Canadian pride in like the future of Canada and what Canada is doing. And it's sad that so much of this movement is just motivated by getting away from the US. But that's like not the full picture either at this point. That's just like one of the steps Canada is taking. Now it's just like Canada is in full momentum to like, let's just make Canada the best it can be. And why not have all these trading partners? Carney went to like Australia and Japan and China and like all these places to develop all these new trade relationships and military relationships. And the future is looking bright for Canada. And now like the US, we're like at war with Iran. No one knows why. Fighting over oil. Like, and it's like the opposite. Like morale couldn't be lower here in the US. So looking at this like hyped up like speech, even if it's kind of a political thing, I don't know, I'm kind of jealous because it's like we're heading in two opposite directions right now. Yeah, and the worst part is the US has done all of this to ourselves. No one even did it to us. We just did it to ourselves. So wow. So yeah, I wanted to take a look at a couple of the clips from this speech. Really cool speech. Mark Carney seems like a great speech giver. Very articulate. Whether you agree with them or not on everything, it's cool to see like a world leader that's not insane. Like, you gotta laugh, or else you might cry over the state of things in the U.S. So this was really cool to see, and very, very. I mean, this informed me a lot in many ways about how I'm viewing the Canada-U.S. relationship, and even just reflecting on the United States, just like comparing ourselves to Canada right now. It's very eye-opening and very much needed. So anyway, if you enjoyed this, feel free to give this video a like or leave a comment with your thoughts on Mark Carney's speech at the Liberal Convention here and some of the stuff he said. That'd be cool to hear about, especially if you're Canadian and you understand the Canadian perspective on this, and And if you're interested in more videos like this, me reacting to Canadian things that I've never seen before, feel free to subscribe for more. And until then, thanks for watching, and see you next time.